what I recall most of our footsteps sounding like in the day and the day before that incident. So I was laying there. Actually, I had my eyes open for a little while to see if I could just see any light or shadows or any indication of people walking around. I saw nothing, no
Now,
light,
now, were you in a tent
no
or
shadow.
were you in a tent or outside sleeping?
Yeah, I was in a tent, a little 4-person tent. So I could definitely see the light from the moon and light outside coming onto my tent, but I didn't see any moving light or shadows.
Okay, so you didn't do what I would have done. You know what I would have done, Troy? I would have figured out how to get my head underneath. Yeah, I know, even at my age, if I hear something really scary, I still have a tendency putting the blanket over my head. I don't know why. Maybe it's a carryover from when I was a kid. I mean, did it really concern you when you started hearing that noise so close by?
It was definitely something significant. I knew it was not an accident, and I knew that it was probably the Sasquatches that had been watching us, or at least one of them. And I had assumed that it knew that I had laid down to go to sleep, and somehow it could sense exactly when. So I just laid there, and as long as it didn't come up to my tent, and as long as it didn't scare me intentionally, then I just let it be. I don't know exactly what it was actually doing or what the purpose of that was, but when I was laying there with my eyes open, I did see sparkles of light above me, which were definitely inside my tent, like near the top of my tent, but just like little pinpoints of light flashing in and out. Not bright, generally colored light, no, just white light. So I'm not entirely sure if that was from the Sasquatch or something else, but
Well, see,
it was strange.
sometimes I come to a conclusion, and I've had guests on my show that have claimed that, the Bigfoot are actually not Bigfoot. They're actually maybe aliens that, going back many, many centuries, found out what kind of would scare people away from whatever they're doing. So they know how to shapeshift or whatever into another type of form, basically to keep people away from them. And it could be a possibility there too, because you had that sighting of that craft, the car becoming magnetized, and a whole bunch of more strange things that, if it was me, I would have been in my car, packed and gone. I want to commend you guys. You hung around there, and it got more intense though as in the morning as the time kept going on, didn't it?
It did get interesting after the investigation started. The investigation is really what revealed that super strange things were happening. And I'd like to comment on something you just said, semi-related, that a lot of people report seeing Sasquatch beings even come out of spaceships or in an area where there were lights in the sky or lights descending into the woods. And a lot of people do believe that some Sasquatch beings are actually extraterrestrial in origin. I don't believe that all are, maybe some, but just wanted to put that out there as a possibility. However, as far as I have concluded, the Sasquatch beings at Taklak Lake that we dealt with were probably the residents of that area and not so much visitors from above, because they seem to just be there all the time and not necessarily when we went to bed.
Interesting. Now, what happened to, Michael had a real strange thing happen to him. I remember him when I interviewed him about all this, that he went to bed and strange things happened. He got up to go to the bathroom, which was right next to the camper trailer, or the tent trailer, I should say. And he just went there and something happened. Besides going to the bathroom, that is.
Yeah, so what happened with Michael is that he sleeps with a CPAP machine, and at ESteady, he wasn't able to use it because there was virtually no power unless you had batteries of your own, which he wasn't able to plug it in anywhere or power it. But it was after he got to Talk Rock Lake that one of the other members, Kevin, he's one of the gadget guys of the group, and he brought, we call it kind of like a village, at least it was a village compared to what we had. He brought large external battery cells. He brought pop-up tents, or pop-up canopies, and the pop-up tent thing that they were sleeping in. So because of Kevin's batteries, Michael was able to power a CPAP machine. And Michael went to Kevin's campsite pretty much directly after the Skywatch to set that up and settle down for the night. Kevin's campsite was across the road from where the larger campsite for the group was. So Michael, Kevin, and Sam, Kevin and Sam are married, they were over there at their campsite, and they went to bed, I think by 1 in the morning. And then it was later in the morning, around 3, a little after 3 a.m., that Sam woke up and tried to wake up Kevin and Michael, which they would not wake up for whatever reason. Sam woke up because she was hearing a buzzing noise from what appeared to be the CPAP machine apparently failing or shutting off, so she wanted to wake them up. And it wasn't until Michael's CPAP machine alerted him that it was shutting off that he woke up. Then he inadvertently woke up Kevin, who was next to him, and Michael had to go use the portable toilet they had out there anyway. So he got up, he told Kevin about the issue. Kevin said that by the time he got back, he would have the machine switched over to the other battery cell. So Michael got up, left, took care of his business outside, which should have only taken a couple of minutes or so. Then he came back. He distinctly remembers opening the pop-up trailer again and getting back into it. And first of all, before Michael left, Kevin asked, "What time is it?" Michael looked at his watch and said 3:30. And he has one of those large watches with the little glow-in-the-dark dots on it. So somehow that was charged with bright light before he got up, which should have been completely dark and not illuminated at all.
Yeah, because normally those watches with the phosphorus coating on the numbers, they get charged from the daylight or in a bright room, and you take it in like your bedroom and you set it on your dresser, Troy, and about 20, 30 minutes later, it's getting dimmer and dimmer, and within about 45 minutes, you can't even read the dial anymore. So, I mean, that did all of a sudden be bright and all that stuff after that right there is kind of eerie.
Yeah, it is. Michael has said that his watch tends to go dim after about 30 minutes of no light. And he also said that he had his arms under his sleeping bag. That's the other mystery that I can talk about that we still have not figured out how that could happen. But Michael went to use the toilet, came back what he thought was a couple of minutes later. Then Kevin asked what time it is again. Michael looked at his watch and said 4:30. neither of them thought much of it because they were very tired. It was about, well, at the time 4:30 in the morning, and they needed to go back to sleep, so that's what they did. And it wasn't until after Dan's comment and our investigative work started later the next day that Kevin and Michael remembered that bit. Clearly, they both did. The 3:30 and then 4:30 thing. So somehow there's verified missing time, not only from what they remember, about an hour that they know of, but also Michael's CPAP machine has a computer in it that records his sleep activity, his quality of sleep, and all kinds of other things. And he found that it only recorded him having used the machine for about an hour and 50 minutes that night of August 27th to the 28th. Normally, he would get over 8 hours of sleep, sometimes 9, or depending on his schedule and what he can get.
Well, that is really scary there, too, because talking to Michael when he was on my show, too, I mean, there was a major loss of time. And that's what I'm trying to piece together in my mind, because I'm going to go back to that car. All of a sudden, the car now is magnetized. That night, Michael goes out to use the makeshift bathroom right next to the tent trailer, and takes, instead of going to urinate for maybe a minute and a half at the most, he's lost like an hour or so with no remembrance of time. So I mean, this is getting really eerie. So much what you guys went through.
Yeah, I could maybe comment on what I think could have happened.
Well, yeah, that's what you're here for. Go ahead and tell me, what's your gut feeling? What do you think happened, Troy?
Well, first of all, the real kicker of this is how Michael's watch could have gotten illuminated with bright light when it was under his sleeping bag, and we still don't know that, especially when he thinks that he was still using his CPAP machine normally before that. So that's still something just for people to think about, kind of food for thought. But from what I've read from different authors and heard about from different sources of these apparent alien abductions and contact scenarios, that a lot of these extraterrestrials, Greys and possibly other groups, tend to make contact or abduct, or whatever the group is doing and however you want to call it. They tend to come get people, usually at night. Quite often it's even at around 3 in the morning, typically when they can easily become or be slipped into an altered state. But what I've heard about a lot of these contact stories is that these beings have the ability to pick someone up at one moment and then basically insert them back into the reality they were in and make it seem like there was either no time that was lost, or make it seem like they hadn't done anything strange and like they had just done their normal routines and went on with their day, but somehow they still have missing time.
Wow.
So that's my feeling of what probably happened.
So you feel you feel like he got abducted that night or that morning?
I wouldn't be surprised if that is verified in his hypnosis, and if he does come out with that. Michael has publicly posted a video of his first hypnosis session on the UFO Team Facebook page, and apparently there was something about being on a ship with Greys and something like that. I didn't watch the whole video. I only heard part of Michael's experience from him, but yeah, I do think that numerous members of our team were contact